Imagine a home, not a safe haven or a nurturing environment, but a prison for a helpless 2-year-old, filled with unimaginable filth and horror. Picture this, a young mother, Nisha Lumpkin, arrested not for a minor misdemeanor, but for an unthinkable act of child endangerment. A 2-year-old boy, her son discovered in a makeshift cage, a home turned into a dungeon. The conditions? Deplorable, to say the least. A playpen, not a place of joy and play, but a cage, a crude enclosure. Not enough room to stand or exit. A toddler's world reduced to a squalid pen. The cage, a chilling sight, made out of a piece of a crib, tied down on 3 sides to the top. A grim image of confinement that would make any heart ache. But the horror doesn't end there. The surrounding area, a picture of neglect and disregard. Trash strewn around, a pungent mix of refuse and human waste. Fecal matter, not in a bathroom but smeared on the wall next to the cage, a nauseating testament to the child's living conditions. Look closer, inside the cage. Remains of food, bones from chicken wings, strewn about. A sight that Trooper James O'Callahan describes as disgusting. A word that falls short of capturing the full extent of the sordid scenario. And there, in the midst of this, a toddler. Not playing or laughing, but covered in human fecal matter. Bedding soaked in urine and fecal matter. A stench that fills the air and the senses with revulsion. A child's innocence tainted by the harsh reality of his circumstances. No good reasons, no excuses can justify such an act. A child's life, a precious gift treated with such callous disregard. A harrowing spectacle of neglect and abuse, a sight that would shake anyone to their very core. As the New York State Police executed a felony arrest warrant for Lumpkin, they were unaware of the grim discovery awaiting them. On a chilly February day, the officers arrived at a home in Buffalo, New York, expecting a routine arrest. Little did they know they would stumble upon a shocking scene that would etch itself into their memories. The initial charges that brought them to Nisha Lumpkin's doorstep were entirely separate from the horrors they would uncover. Lumpkin, a 24-year-old mother, was already on their radar for a felony warrant. However, what they found inside her home shifted the focus of their mission drastically. Upon entering, they were greeted with an unsettling sight. In a separate bedroom, Lumpkin's 2-year-old son was found confined in a makeshift cage. This was no ordinary playpen, it was a haunting structure, made out of a piece of a crib tied down on 3 sides to the top. There was barely enough room for the child to stand or exit. The officers' initial shock quickly morphed into action. Their primary concern was the immediate safety and well-being of the child. The toddler was surrounded by filth, with trash and fecal matter scattered around the cage and smeared on the adjacent wall. The cage and child were both covered in human waste, a clear sign of neglect and abuse. The troopers, despite being hardened by their profession, were shaken by the scene. As Trooper James O'Callahan recounted, the sight of food remains, including chicken bones in the child's living conditions, was deeply disturbing. Any attempts by Lumpkin to justify her actions were swiftly dismissed. There was no reason, no excuse, that could explain or justify such a deplorable situation. The law enforcement officers were faced with a scene that not only required their professional duty, but also their human empathy. Their immediate priority was to ensure the child received medical attention, leading to a call to Erie County Child Protective Services and an ambulance to the home. This was the start of a long journey for the young child, but also the beginning of a thorough investigation into the actions of Nisha Lumpkin. The child, a 2-year-old boy, was found in a state that would wrench anyone's heart. The toddler was discovered in conditions that were not just deplorable, but downright inhumane. His tiny body was covered in human fecal matter and soaked in urine, an indication of the severe neglect he had been subjected to. The child's living quarters, a makeshift cage made out of a playpen, was equally filthy. The walls were smeared with fecal matter, and trash was strewn around the cage. The space was so confined that there wasn't even enough room for the child to stand or exit the playpen. But the physical state of the environment was just one part of the horrifying picture. The child himself was in a dire physical condition. When medical staff at Oishay's Children's Hospital examined him, they found bruising on his face and body. These were not the ordinary bumps and scrapes of a toddler learning to navigate the world, but marks of abuse. Perhaps most distressing of all, the medical team discovered 2 fractured ribs that were healing, indicating the injury had occurred between 10 days to 2 weeks prior to the child's hospital visit. When questioned about these injuries, the mother claimed that the child had fallen down the stairs in late December of 2023 or early January of 2024. She admitted that the child had been crying as a result of the incident, but did not seek professional medical assistance. The neglect and cruelty of these circumstances are overwhelming. A 2-year-old child, at the age of exploration and joy, was instead living in a state of fear and neglect. Upon discovering the child, authorities wasted no time in providing the necessary medical aid and protection. The Erie County Child Protective Services, an organization tasked with the safety and well-being of children, was immediately contacted. And the AMR ambulance, a vital first responder in emergencies, was swiftly dispatched to the scene. These organizations in tandem took immediate action to ensure the child's safety and health. The Erie County Child Protective Services, with its mandate to protect children from harm, stepped in to safeguard the child's rights and welfare. The AMR ambulance, with its team of trained medical professionals, provided urgent on-site medical care. The child was then transported to Oishay's Children's Hospital, a renowned medical facility dedicated to the treatment and care of children. There, the toddler underwent a thorough medical examination. The compassionate and highly skilled medical staff at Oishay's Children's Hospital noted the bruises on the child's face and body, and discovered 2 healing fractured ribs. This indicated that the child had suffered physical harm, compounding the already heart-wrenching situation. The child's treatment didn't stop at addressing his physical injuries. The hospital staff also focused on his emotional well-being. They understood the trauma he had endured and worked tirelessly to provide the necessary psychological support. In the face of such adversity, the child was not alone. He was surrounded by a team of caring professionals committed to his recovery and well-being. In the face of such a horrific scenario, the immediate response from authorities was a beacon of hope. It served as a stark reminder of the crucial role these organizations play in our society. Their swift action, their dedication to the child's welfare, and their commitment to justice underscore the importance of their work. Their role is not just about responding to such horrifying incidents, but also about ensuring that every child can live in safety and dignity. As the child was taken into safe hands, the investigation into his mother, Naisha Lumpkin, continued. In the ensuing days, investigators had the opportunity to interview Lumpkin about the appalling conditions in which her son was found and the injuries he had sustained. Lumpkin allegedly offered an explanation for the boy's injuries. She claimed that the 2-year-old had suffered a fall down the stairs in late December 2023 or early January 2024. According to her statement, the incident had caused the child to cry, but she chose not to seek professional medical assistance. This claim, however, did not align with the medical findings. Medical staff had noted that the toddler had bruising on his face and body and, most disturbingly, 2 fractured ribs that were healing. The timing of these injuries suggested they had occurred between 10 days to 2 weeks before the child was brought to the hospital, casting doubt on Lumpkin's account of events. As the investigation progressed, the charges against Lumpkin started to take shape. She was facing child endangerment charges, a serious allegation that speaks to the deplorable conditions in which her son was found. The evidence presented painted a grim picture of neglect and abuse, one that could carry significant legal consequences for Lumpkin. The next step in this process will be Lumpkin's court appearance, scheduled for the following month. This will be an essential moment in the pursuit of justice for her son, providing an opportunity for the prosecution to present their case and for Lumpkin to respond to the charges against her. While the child is now safe, the quest for justice continues. The circumstances surrounding this case are a stark reminder of the crucial role that law enforcement and child protective services play in safeguarding the welfare of children. As we await the outcome of this case, we hope for a resolution that reaffirms the importance of protecting the most vulnerable among us. This case is not just about one child or one mother, but a stark reminder of the hidden horrors that can lurk behind closed doors. It's a chilling reflection of circumstances that are, unfortunately, not as rare as we'd like to believe. The reality is that there are countless children who are victims of abuse and neglect, with their suffering often remaining unnoticed and unheard. This case brings to the forefront the importance of vigilance. It underscores the criticality of being alert to signs of neglect or abuse in our neighborhoods, our communities, and even within our own circles. Often it's a subtle change in behavior, a fleeting look of fear, or a recurring pattern of injuries that might raise red flags, It's on each of us to not dismiss these signs, but rather to act on our suspicions. The role of Child Protective Services in such cases is crucial. They serve as the first line of defense for these vulnerable children, intervening in potentially harmful situations and working tirelessly to ensure their safety. Yet, they rely on our cooperation and our courage to come forward with information. It's a partnership between the community and the authorities, one that is critical to the protection of our children. However, this case also highlights the need for systemic change. We must work towards creating an environment where intervention is not just timely, but also effective, where child protection services are adequately resourced and empowered to act, where the rights of the child are always prioritized and their voices heard. As we reflect on this case, let it serve as a call to action. Let it remind us of the importance of our role in safeguarding the innocence and well-being of our children. Let it prompt us to question, to report, and to act. Because it's not just about one child or one mother, it's about every child who might be silently crying out for help right now. As a society, we bear the collective responsibility to ensure the safety and well-being of our children. The story of this 2-year-old boy is a heartbreaking reminder of the urgent need for child protection. Child protection is a collective responsibility, a social contract that binds us all. It's not just about government agencies and law enforcement, it's about each and every one of us. It's about being aware, being vigilant, and being brave enough to step forward when we suspect that a child may be in danger. Why is child protection so significant? Because every child has the right to grow up in a safe and nurturing environment. An environment that fosters growth, learning, and development. An environment where they are free from fear, harm, and neglect. Unfortunately, as we've learned from this harrowing tale, this isn't always the case. The role of Child Protective Services and similar organizations is undeniably crucial in safeguarding the welfare of children. These organizations act as a lifeline for children in distress, intervening when necessary, and providing the care and support that these children so desperately need. But they can't do it alone. Every individual has a part to play. If you suspect a child is being abused or neglected, it's vital to report it. Don't turn a blind eye. Don't assume that someone else will step in. Your action, your report, could be the difference between a continued life of suffering for a child or the start of a journey towards safety and recovery. But reporting is just the first step. We also need to support initiatives that aim to educate parents and caregivers about proper child-rearing practices. We need to promote mental health awareness and ensure that those struggling with parenting or personal issues have access to the help they need. Moreover, we need to foster a society that values and respects the rights of children. A society that understands that children are not merely passive recipients of care, but individuals with their own rights and needs. A society that recognizes that every child deserves to be loved, cared for, and protected. This case, as tragic as it is, provides us with an opportunity to reflect, to learn, and to make changes. We must take this opportunity to reinforce our commitment to child protection to ensure that no child is left to suffer in silence. Remember, every child is our child. Every child's welfare is our responsibility. When we protect the most vulnerable among us, we're not just shaping their future, we're shaping the future of our society. This case serves as a call to action for all of us, reinforcing the importance of vigilance and action in the protection of our most vulnerable.